BTC Cake is a Bitcoin gambling website where there will always be a user or users who wins, and they will share the winnings fairly. So how does it work? Well, there are two different types of games. Let's start with a cake with 2 or more wedges. The more you bet, the bigger chance of winning you have. Users on the same wedge share the winnings fairly and can help each other's chance of winning by increasing the total bet for that wedge. The more of the total a wedge has, the bigger chance of winning it has. Think of it like a range between two values. Say these two values are 0 and 360. A random value between 0 and 360 is chosen. If two wedges have the same sum of bets, they both have an equal chance of winning. That is 50%. This means that wedge 1 wins between 0 and 180, and wedge 2 wins between 180 and 360. If the amount changes, the range will change accordingly as well. Let me show you an example. Imagine a cake with 3 wedges. You put a bet of 1 Bitcoin on wedge 1. You now have a 100% chance to win. Someone else bet 1 Bitcoin on wedge 2. You both now have a 50% chance to win, because you both have put in an equal amount of Bitcoins. A third user comes in and bets 1 Bitcoin on wedge 3. You all now have 33.33% chance of winning because you all put an equal amount of Bitcoins. That is 1/3 of the total. Now imagine a fourth user comes in and bets 3 Bitcoins on wedge 1. Now you and this fourth user will have about 66.7% chance of winning, while the other two have 16.7%. Why? Well, let's take a look at this. You and a user on wedge 1, 4 Bitcoins. Wedge 2, 1 Bitcoin. Wedge 3, 1 Bitcoin. This makes a total of 6 Bitcoins, and because your wedge has 4/6 of the total, you will now have a 66% chance of winning. Furthermore, if you would win, you will get 25% of the 2 Bitcoins because your bet is 1/4 of what is on wedge 1. That is, wedge 1 is you, 1 Bitcoin. The fourth user, 3 Bitcoins. Total, 4 Bitcoins. You have 1/4 of the total, which is 25%. So to make it fair, you will get 25% of the winnings if wedge 1 wins. The other type of game is for a cake with 1 wedge. The winner is selected differently because the cake isn't sliced up. Because of that, each user provides a value they think will be the end result value. The users closest to the result receives the winning pot until the pot is empty. If you guessed exactly the result value, you can at most double up. Else you get times your bet based on the distance between your guessed value and the result value. For example, result ends up as 201.745708054333802, with a range between 0 and 360. And say we have these bets, in the order of the time they were placed. Pot is 0.120, and ignoring the fee would have been shared like this. Basically, everybody gets what they should depending on distance to the result and how much they spend. And it's sorted by time, so if different users guess the same, the one that put the bet first is taken care of first. Please note that the size of the bet doesn't affect your chance of winning like it does in the other type, with 2 or more wedges. It only affects how much you can win, but it also depends on the size of the pot. So betting more when the pot is low doesn't help your chances. If the pot is 1 Bitcoin and you bet 10 Bitcoins, all you can ever win is 1 Bitcoin. Or, well, a bit less after the fee. And this, provided your guessed value is closer than the other bet. So it's your guessed value that decides how much you win, and not your amount. Betting more than the rest makes more sense if the pot is larger, because then there is more to take from. But again, it all depends on how close you are to the result. And that's it.